I used to think that family meant laughter around a table, endless support, and let's be honest, a perfect Thanksgiving dinner. But for me, holidays were a battleground where the biggest weapon wasn't the turkey or mashed potatoes, but the biting remarks from my formidable mother-in-law Margaret. Sure, the Langford estate looked picturesque, plenty of smiles and beautifully laid out feasts, but beneath that surface there was tension that could spark a flame. I remember sitting there pregnant and vulnerable, feeling like an imposter in my own family, and Margaret always had a knack for making sure I knew it. I was just Amelia, the daughter-in-law, a piece in a well-oiled machine that rarely acknowledged the chaos of my reality. I believed I had to swallow my pride and wear a brave face even when I felt like an outsider. Others saw the polished version of me, the good little wife, trying to fit in, but inside I battled fears that gnawed at my confidence. I can still hear her voice cutting through the laughter. Amelia, dear, are you sure you're ready to take on motherhood? It was a question disguised as concern, but really it was a reminder of my perceived inadequacy. That Thanksgiving, masked in garlands and good intentions, was the calm before my personal storm, a turning point where silence would speak louder than any holiday cheer. Little did I know that day would ignite a journey of reckoning and resilience, where I'd discover what it truly meant to stand up not only for myself, but for countless others who felt unseen. The air was thick with chatter, the kind that felt suffocating to me. I'd thought I was finally fitting in, catching snippets of laughter, like falling leaves drifting in the autumn breeze. But there, seated at the grand Langford table, I felt more like a ghost than a daughter-in-law. Margaret's eyes pierced through me, carrying that familiar weight of condescension. "What's the matter, Amelia? You look pale." Or is it just the thought of yet another holiday without a proper contribution? Laughter erupted, hanging in the air like a knife, and I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. I fought the urge to shrink, to disappear into the fabric of the tablecloth. I, I hesitated, a lump forming in my throat. "I've been busy with the baby." The words trembled as they escaped my lips, and for a fleeting moment I hoped for understanding. But Margaret just rolled her eyes and shot back, "Oh, sweetie, perhaps you should spend less time on social media and more time contemplating your place in this family." It was like a well-rehearsed play where the audience leaned in to see who would falter first, me their unsuspecting star, or her, the self-proclaimed queen of this kingdom. Then, without warning, as if orchestrated by fate itself, she dumped a bucket of dirty dishwater right on my lap, laughter drowning out my shock. The room fell silent for a heartbeat that felt like an eternity, and in that moment the facade shattered. I felt like the floor had opened beneath me, leading straight to a dark, gaping abyss. But I wouldn't be swallowed. Bowing my head, I fought back tears and turned, leaving the remnants of the evening behind. "You'll regret this," I whispered to no one but the chill in the air. I could feel their eyes on my back. Maybe they snickered, maybe they gawked. It didn't matter. I had stepped through the looking glass and there was no way I was going back. I was done being underestimated, done being the punchline to someone else's joke. This fire was only beginning to blaze inside me. Let me tell you, things didn't magically get better for Amelia after that incident. No, no. What followed was, dare I say, a smorgasbord of public doubt and pressure. One would think going viral means you get a crown and a parade, right? Nope. It means waking up to a sea of strangers on your social media, armed with their opinions faster than you can say, "P my privacy." At first, she felt supported. I mean, who wouldn't feel buoyed up by a tidal wave of sympathy? But as the comments streamed in, it became a buffet of unsought advice, judgment, and a whole lot of, why didn't she just stand up for herself? Because let me tell you, it's a tad harder to be a warrior when your armor is made of vulnerability and self-doubt. Amelia threw herself into this new whirlwind of support. But every time she tried to speak out, oh boy, that was like throwing a rock into a calm pond and watching the ripples come back as tsunamis. You wouldn't believe the memes that surfaced, her horrified face splashed across social media, alongside captions that could make even the most stout-hearted cringe. She couldn't surf the internet without getting wiped out by waves of mockery and doubt. And let's not even start on her attempts to engage with the media. Picture this, she's sitting there trying to be inspirational, only to be met with questions that made it feel like defending a PhD thesis. I mean, who knew you had to prove your humanity in a courtroom of public opinion? But amidst the loneliness of rejection and the slap of ridicule, there were these tiny sparks of determination igniting in her chest like a little engine that could sputtering against the odds. This will not be the end, she whispered to herself, probably between bites of her emergency pint of ice cream, the real MVP of the situation. Yet each setback wasn't just a door slammed in her face. It was fuel. And oh, was she going to need a lot of it? Amelia stood on the edge, the world around her blurring under the weight of humiliation, her heart pounding with disbelief. The video spread like wildfire. Public outrage ignited, and suddenly strangers reached out, voices rallying, sharing their own stories of pain and resilience. A message from a woman named Sarah fluttered across her screen. You are not alone. You are stronger than you know. Those words were fuel. In the hospital bed, amid sterile walls and whispering nurses, Amelia grasped onto this unexpected lifeline. Each notification was a reminder that beneath her turmoil there was a spark. Then Rebecca appeared, her eyes brimming with urgency. Amelia, this is bigger than you think. Your story could change lives. For the first time, it wasn't just about surviving family dynamics. It was about owning her truth. Amelia felt a flicker of hope igniting what had felt like a dwindling flame. She began to write, pouring her heart into words, crafting her narrative from shame into strength. Margaret. She sat cloaked in shame, her image shattered. Once the formidable matriarch, now a ghost of her former self, her power dismantled by the very scrutiny she had wielded against others. And yet for Amelia, Margaret's downfall wasn't just justice. It was liberation. I won't be silenced anymore, she whispered to herself, the declaration reverberating in her core. With each passing day, the weight of her shattered image lifted. The world could see her. Her scars became a mosaic of strength, a testament to resilience. No longer the invisible woman forced to bear her burden in silence. Amelia was rising, ready to reclaim her story, and in doing so she had become unstoppable. As the courtroom doors swung open, the heavy atmosphere echoed the weight of expectations and unspoken truths. Amelia stood resolute, her heart racing, as she approached the centre of the room. She locked eyes with Thomas, whose quiet strength propelled her forward. This was her moment, not just to confront the woman who tormented her, but to embrace the strength she'd discovered within. The proceedings unfolded like a cinematic drama. The opposing counsel's smug confidence was met with Amelia's undeniable sincerity. As she recounted her experiences, the tension shifted. Each word cut through the air, rendering the audience spellbound. A soft gasp rippled through the crowd when she described the very moment of humiliation, revealing not just pain, but the resilience forged from it. Outside the courthouse, a throng of supporters gathered. Cameras flashed, headlines screamed, and among it all, Amelia caught a glimpse her mother-in-law, once a figure of power, now a silhouette dwarfed by shame. It was a scene not of vengeance, but of liberation. With each day of the trial, Margaret's grip on her past crumbled, revealing threads of familial love that had been neglected too long. Then came the final day. The judge's gavel echoed in the chamber, his ruling both a profound victory for Amelia and a lesson in humility for Margaret. As they emerged, reporters inundated them with questions, but Amelia simply smiled a quiet smirk that whispered, "I did it." She was not here to gloat. Instead, she was ready to open the next chapter of her life driven by purpose. Waving to her supporters, she knew this wasn't just about her victory. This was a stepping stone for so many others. The scars of her journey would remain, yes, but they were now badges of honor. Each one told a story of resilience, a reminder that while her past would never fade, it had birthed an unbreakable resolve. The triumph didn't erase the pain. It deepened the meaning of every challenge she faced. With her new foundation on the horizon, Amelia stepped into the future, ready to extend her hand to those who'd once felt just as alone. Empowerment wasn't just about overcoming it, was about lifting others as you rise. Her story was just beginning, the spark ignited not by revenge, but by unyielding hope. As we conclude Amelia Langford's journey, we're left with the stark realization that the pursuit of power often comes at a steep cost. In a world where public perception can dictate personal lives, we witnessed how betrayal and arrogance can spiral into overwhelming consequences. Amelia transformed from a figure shrouded in self-doubt to a beacon of resilience, unearthing a profound truth. Reclaiming one's dignity is more powerful than any act of revenge. Through her struggle, we learned that trust is a fragile construct, easily shattered by the very people we hold dear. As families gather around tables filled with laughter and love, what lies beneath often resembles a battlefield of expectations and hidden resentments. Did Margaret's downfall serve justice, or was it merely her punishment? Is revenge truly a form of justice, or does it only deepen our isolation? These questions linger long after the final scene fades, inviting heated debate among those who seek to understand the complexities of human relationships. As we reflect, consider this: can forgiveness coexist with accountability, or must one sacrifice the other? Perhaps it is time for each of us to challenge our perceptions and embrace a different story, one that includes understanding and compassion even towards those who have wronged us. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever faced a family conflict that changed your perspective on trust and power? Your experiences could ignite necessary conversations and inspire others to navigate their own challenges with empathy and strength.